Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Oklahoma Recycling Association's Lunch and Learn, a recycling slam dunk without the junk, part one. We're so glad that you are here today. My name is Ellen Bussert, and I am standing in for Sarah Ivy. She is the chairman of our Outreach and Education Work Group, and she is under the weather today, and she will not be here. I would like to thank our sponsors who have helped make this Lunch and Learn possible. If you all will humor me. Okay, I'm glad you're humoring me. Okay, our sponsors who are Republic Services, Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality, the Chickasaw Nation, and the City of Midwest City. We thank you very much for making this Lunch and Learn possible. Today, we are going to have Crystal Bennett, OKRA member from Republic Services, and Paul Streets with the City of Midwest City talked about us about their Super Recycler program. So Crystal, I am going to turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ellen. Well, I'm so excited to get to tell you about our partnership with Midwest City and our Super Recycler program. It was a fantastic endeavor that we joined together, and I know you guys will see today as Paul and we have partnered together for quite a while, huh, Paul? And we have dug through many recycling baskets, but this has got to be an all-time high for us. We're actually going to show you the process, and what is really great about this is to making sure that municipal programs are long-term sustainable. And I cannot tell you how the City of Midwest City, Paul Streets, Tim Lyon, Vaughn Sullivan, Carrie, how they all came together and made this program fantastic, along with Republic Services, David Baker, everybody with Republic. We came together and absolutely had a fantastic program to really shape and change recycling going forward in Midwest City. So it took all of us. It takes a village, right? It took all of us to get together and do this. So in part one, you'll actually see us out there first thing in the morning, walking the streets, doing it. Part two is going to be just as important, the next Lunch and Learn, because that's really going to be the nuts and bolts about how we put this program together, what we learned, what we would do different, just really the in-depth process of how to do this program. But we hope that people will be able to take this program and run with it and be able to do this in their communities. Like I said, it kind of gives the good, the bad, and the ugly, right, Paul?
Absolutely.
So, Paul, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I would. I'd like to say that this is a wonderful opportunity for us. It definitely highlights or illustrates how when people have a heart for something, they're committed to it, that they can make it a reality. It's not easy sometimes. You've always got those folks that are not willing to raise their hand and participate or commit. But I will just tell you that we were able to make this work because we had some committed folks, not only on Midwest City side, but Republic side, and obviously a few others that I want to name specifically. We couldn't do it, first of all, without the support from our leadership, our city manager's office that includes Tim Lyon, Vaughn Sullivan, Ryan Rushing. You'll get a chance to see Tim in the video. There's a little bit of a quick interview, but without their leadership and their willingness to support us, this wouldn't have happened. I also need to give a special thanks to Carrie Evenson, Brittany, and obviously the chamber. Without Shana and the chamber helping us, and we'll get a chance to talk, we'll get into the weeds, we'll talk about that the next time I get into myself, but we couldn't have done it. I mean, the reality is it takes everybody around the table to raise their hand and participate, and we were very fortunate to have that happen. So, and thank you, Crystal. The fact of the matter is Republic Services have been a partner with us for over a decade, and we are grateful for that relationship and that partnership, and I'm excited for others to see the fruits of our labor. So there it is.
Absolutely. And Paul, we couldn't have done this. So just so you guys know what you're going to see today, Paul and I just I was a little hesitant to do this, but Paul and I got together, put our heads together, and what was it, a month? A little over a month maybe, that we got this going and got this together and got out there and really got so one thing you're going to see today is the community got involved. It was just the pride of Midwest City. You're going to see as we go through here how council people were involved, how city management was involved, how Republic was involved, and that how we came together as a partnership to move recycling forward in the city of Midwest City. So with that being said, we're going to show this video. It's just a short 26-minute video. We're going to show this video, and then when we're done, ask questions. We want to, we think of some good ones for us. So ask some questions. We're here to answer them. Like I said, we want to thank OKRA and David from the Chickasaw Nation. OKRA followed us along on this journey one morning, got up at the crack of dawn, came with us. David was out there to film this for us from the Chickasaw Nation, so we're really thankful for that. But at the end, please have questions for us, and please join us for the next one, and let's just get started.
One other thing I just want to note that you will see this beginning of this video, and you're going to see a sunrise, and you're going to go, that has got to be Photoshop. No, that indeed was actual footage taken the day that we were out there. The sun decided to shine on us that day. So enjoy.
Absolutely.
It was an incredible effort, and we appreciate David's work and the Chickasaw Nation. So hope you all enjoyed as much as we do.
Okay, good morning. Welcome. We are in beautiful Midwest City this morning. It is a great day to be a super recycler. I just want to introduce you to Tim Lyon, the city manager of Midwest City. It has been amazing. I cannot tell you how awesome the city has been in partnering with Republic Services. This is the general manager of Republic Services, David Baker. Hey guys, he's been out here every morning doing the Super Recycler program, which has been awesome. But Paul Streets, this is Councilman Favors. They have been out every morning checking carts. We are looking for super recyclers, and we are educating the people that aren't quite there yet on how to be a better recycler. So today we're going to take you through going house to house and checking carts with us. But first, like I said, we could not have done this without the great partnership of Midwest City. Councilman Favors, this is your second time out here, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, walking, hey, I love it when you have somebody dedicated to their city and they are out walking, helping their neighbors, make it a better place to live, and that's exactly what this man has done, and we appreciate him so much. But we couldn't do this without Tim. He really has done great things. We love our partnership, and I'm going to let Tim say just a few things.
So this partnership has been wonderful for Midwest City. We did a survey several years ago before we started recycling, and our citizens overwhelmingly wanted to participate in this program and are willing to pay an extra fee on their sanitation bill to participate. And so this has just blossomed into a great relationship with Republic, and so this program is just it's very important to our citizens, and looking for a super recycling program is just an awesome opportunity for our citizens. So we're excited to participate today.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we are giving away $5,000 worth of gift cards the first 2 weeks of October. We are going to check the carts. It's been amazing. We purchased these. Hey, Tim, you'll love this. We purchased the gift cards here in Midwest City just to give back to the city. The chamber has been amazing at doing this. So we are going to head out. I'm going to show you what we're going to do this morning. So to start off with, everybody will have a bag. Okay, somebody hand me their bag. Okay, we are going to start out with a bag, and in your bag you are going to have super recyclers. To be a super recycler, we want everything to be empty, clean, and dry. Only 1 and 2 plastics. If you have cardboard, we want your lid to shut, but oh my goodness, it's wonderful if you have your cardboard broken down. That way you can get more into your container. So you will have that in your packet, and you will have these other ones that say you quite didn't get it this time, but maybe next time you will. And we'll mark on here what they have in there that is not recyclable. What you'll do is you'll take your pen that's in here, you'll put the address on the cart, or on the label. Thank you, Paul. You'll put this on the label. You'll mark what they have in there that's not correct. We're going to walk the way that the truck would come, which will be on the right side of the road. You will peel this sticker off and you will place it on the side of the cart so the driver can see that this has been an audited cart. After you place this on there, you will tear the top part off, and you will keep the top part and put it back in your bag. If somebody has completely contaminated their cart, which I'm saying over 50% recycling, if you open it up and it's trash, what you'll do on this sheet, you'll make a big X on this sheet. Then there is a piece of chalk. Didn't you love chalk as a kid? There's a piece of chalk in here, and you will make an X right next to a big X where the driver can see, because we're going to talk about later the great program that the city of Midwest City has implemented to make sure their residents are recycling and they're giving them the education. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we are going to head out now, and we are going to start looking in some carts. So come with us and let's see what we find. Okay, so this morning we have several things in here that shouldn't be in here. So with every city program, you check and see what's actually acceptable, and this film is not acceptable. They have lots of great things in here like plastic, but we need to put on here not to put film in, because that gets tangled in the machinery and it's hard to get pulled out. So we are going to take our pen, and let's see, it's 13201 Sawtooth. Okay, so here's what we do. We write the address on here. It says on here plastic film wrap. So we are going to mark the plastic film wrap and put it on there. And they're not a winner this time, but they could be next time that we do this. We're going to put this on the side of the cart so they will know, and take the top. And we're going to keep the top part so we'll know how many people we've educated. Okay. Here's our next one. Oh, this is a good one. So this is a great one for you to see, because this is wonderful. They have tons of cardboard in here. The only thing is, so that's usually not so good. You don't want to have any soiled pizza boxes in here, because the soil is not good for when they try to recycle it. So this is actually great. We're going to leave them a note saying this is great, but just don't put soiled pizza boxes in here. So Okay, so we put the address. So we're gonna mark other, down here it says soiled materials. So we're gonna say, please no soiled pizza boxes, which you gotta love pizza, but we just don't want the soiled pizza boxes. Great job besides that. So I'm gonna put on here, great job. Here we go. And we're gonna put this on the side just like we did the last one. And okay, we are gonna keep going.
Let's take a look here and see what we have. So first thing we're looking at is broken down cardboard. Plastics are clean, washed out. Second quarter of the day, I think we got a super recycler.
Woo! All right, awesome, awesome, awesome.
Very good job.
So he filled out his paperwork, put it on the side, and we're good to go. Okay, Paul, next one.
There was another one.
Okay, I want you to do the next one.
Unfortunately, this cannot be recycled. It clogs up the separating machines at Batliner, and so we cannot give this person super recycled. So we'll give them a little bit of a heads up that they can do better next time. So over here on the side of the cart, we got a chance to mark that they had some poly film here, polystyrene, and let them know that they could do better next time.
Perfect. Okay.
So this one was very easy, actually. So I looked through it, and all they had was cardboard, and they broke down a good portion of it and everything. So this one was a super recycler. So
Perfect.
I did my form and actually stuck it on the side,
Wonderful.
filled it out.
So they'll be getting a $25 gift card in the next week. So great, awesome. Okay.
So this one, it looks like it. I
Oops.
believe this is
Right,
going to be something that we could use.
right. No, it's not.
Or recycle, should I say. They do have some paper sacks in there, which is good.
Right. Okay, so our address, let's find our address here. It's 13219. Okay, I'll get it. Yep, I got it.
Okay.
So that plastic that was actually in there was 3 through 7, so we're gonna mark that so they'll know that is not the plastic that goes in this recycling program. We'll just put this on the side and take this copy so we can have it. And you know, just in case they call or want to know when they get this sticker, I keep these and mark the date on them. So if they do call, we can go back and kind of tell them what was in there and what they need to clean up. So this is a no-no. The polystyrene is, or styrofoam, right, is a no-no. And they actually, but they did a great job breaking down their cardboard. This is awesome. We love to see this. But they also have some plastic film at the bottom, and we talked about plastic film that can get stuck in the machinery and it's not worth anything. So we are gonna mark the cart on the side and just let them know that, like I said, great job on the cardboard, but in fact,
Very close.
yeah, great job on cardboard. I'm gonna put that on here. We want to encourage them to recycle, right? We just wish it was closed. So we hope to get at least 20, there's 2 groups of us this morning. There's the group that you saw at the beginning, and then we had another group in another place. So we hope to get 20 to 30 super recyclers this morning. And we have to start out and do this early because we start out at, if you noticed, before the crack of dawn, because we have to beat the truck through the neighborhoods, and the trucks start at 7 a.m. So we like to make sure that we are out before the truck so we can have all this done and out of their way. Okay, David, what are we seeing here?
We are seeing almost a great job.
Ooh,
We've got
Food.
waste, and food waste is never recyclable. So we're gonna tag this one as food waste. We also got a little bit of plastic film in there. Other than that, they've done a pretty good job with some of the plastics. to do a better job washing out some of the carts, but other than that, food waste is going to be the biggest contributor here. So.
Excellent. So Paul, how are we doing over here?
We've got another one that can sure make some improvement.
Okay. Anything out of the unusual?
Yeah, well, we actually had some, we have bubble wrap, film, and styrofoam, and
Right.
uncollapsed boxes. So
Right, and this type of stuff. So,
any
yeah.
kind of film, you cannot, it's not recyclable. Also, what's interesting is, and this, you don't see this very often, but what you've got here is actually some, they must have had something delivered that needed to stay cold, and this insulation that's inside is not recyclable.
Right.
The box would be, so they would have had to remove this insulation, put it in the trash, and then collapse the box and then put it in the recycle bin. So they did at least get boxes in here, which looks good, and a couple other recycled materials, but unfortunately they've got some room for improvement.
Right.
So I checked the box for plastic film and wrap, polystyrene foam, and then the boxes aren't collapsed.
Perfect. So far though, they're doing really well.
Yeah.
I like that they are, we haven't seen any that are so bad that we've had to X them, which is wonderful. And if you'll notice, Midwest City has 76% participation, and you can tell by looking around how how all the neighbors are participating, which is wonderful. I mean, we've seen this almost every day that we've been out here, this huge participation, which we love that. That's been awesome. We just want to make sure,
National average.
yes, way higher than the national average. We just want to make sure that they're recycling properly too, so, okay. Good morning. Oh, we have another super recycler here. So let's just take a quick look. Oh, great. Yeah. They have broken down cardboard. They have aluminum. It looks really good. So wonderful. So let's go on and let's look. I see Councilman Favors is tagging a cart too. So how did that one look, Councilman?
Well, this one needs some work.
Okay.
I think they had some 3 through 7.
Yes, they do.
And
some styrofoam. Yeah, some styrofoam. Okay.
Other than that, pretty good.
Yes. Oops. Okay, we've got film and some plastic bags in this one. So they broke down their cardboard a little bit. Ooh, they have clothing too. We can't do clothing. So, and some of their recycling is bagged. Okay. So this is probably a good one to say, yeah, you can always get rid of this like at Goodwill or someplace like that. So, but not in your recycling. And like I said, they've got some bagged recycling down in here, and we don't ever want it put in bags because the workers have to tear the bags open, and when you have 22,000 homes like they have here in Midwest City, it's just too much. It's overwhelming for them, and plus it's better if it's empty and loose. So there we go, and we'll let Councilman tag this cart and we will move on. Okay. Okay, well this one looks really good, except we have a bag that is not recyclable. So we have another one of these. But everything else is broken down and looks really good. And we left him a little smiley face note. So great job on everything, just no dog food sacks. Okay. And the sun is coming up now. How was yours?
Pizza boxes.
Pizza boxes.
Oh, pizza boxes.
Okay. So, oh, no, Hey, good thing we looked. They would have been a super recycler, but look.
Great catch.
Yeah, they've got styrofoam and plastic, so they missed the $25 this time. If they would have taken the styrofoam and plastic out, they would have been a super recycler. So we'll let them know to take the packing materials out of their boxes.
Great catch. Oh, looks good.
Looks good. Looks great.
Well, we got a super recycler here, and so we're gonna take it home and we're gonna do a slam dunk for 2 points. Here we go.
Yay! Woo!
But don't you think that's definitely that's more than half?
Right, that's more than half.
I'd say that's the next.
So there's seat cushions. There's.
You just put it. You do the ones that your recycling card did not qualify.
Right, and make a big X on it. Yes.
We'll put an X on the card as well. So we'll take a piece of tongue off.
Yep. So, yeah, and they have a planter in here. Oh yeah, trash. It's full of trash.
Yeah.
So
what do you write on something that has that much stuff?
So I usually put full of trash. Please use this cart for recycling.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So we've got several things in this one that don't go. It's the plastic. They've got a plastic, and they've got clothing. So I don't know that they probably missed this, but there's clothing in here. So we definitely don't want that. This would be on the edge. I'm actually going to throw this away in the trash. Or Paul will throw it away. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, they need to leave that stuff out. So I'm going to mark clothing on here, and that they had bagged items as well. So I'm a little harder than the guys, huh? They're a little too nice. So we're going to look at this card down here. Just a little note, don't place your carts so close together. It's difficult for the trash truck to pick them up when they're this close together. So I think David and Councilman are gonna kind of move them apart after they tag them.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilman, how are we doing?
Magazine?
Yeah, magazines are fine. Okay, this looks pretty good, actually. This looks great. Yeah, this one looks great. I think they've done a great job. Yeah, I think this is a super recycler. Yeah.
It is
Car isn't a
it's
slam
probably not going to land in.
At first, this one looked really, really good, but I dug a little bit and found a glass bottle, which we don't take in the curbside, but I believe
We have a convenience center on Jim White Drive.
absolutely. So this would go to the convenience center and not at the curb. So they did a great job. Besides that, everything's empty, clean, and dry. So we'll just tell them no glass and take it to White Drive.
Jim White Drive.
Jim White Drive, perfect. Oh, chalk, food, yeah.
That plastic's not recyclable, right? Those cups from Starbucks.
I can't, well, it's got food in it, so no. And then
That's the container.
in this container and chalk.
That's a microwave. That's a
Oh, that is a microwave thing.
cover for
Yeah.
microwaving, and it's obviously yes.
Yeah, no. And they did a good job on breaking down some of the cardboard, but, and the pizza box,
Heavily soiled.
yeah, heavily soiled, so that would be a no. Plastic film. Okay, so this, baggies are a no-no. So another thing is when you open up a can and it smells, you know that they're not just putting recycling in there. So we are gonna leave them a message. They've got some 3 through 7s, and we are gonna leave them a message. So this plastic and this food that's left in here is not recyclable. So anyway, we're probably gonna wrap up now, and I have everybody give me all of their bags, and I have them separate everything out to see how many super recyclers and how well we did. And then we're going to go back to Public Works and just discuss the program and how this all came about and really what we're hoping to gain out of this program.
Okay, perfect. We wanted you to see what we were actually seeing in the carts. I think that's important for any city that's doing this, that you actually not just see one or two, but you actually see what we saw when we went through in the morning. I think that's what we wanted to share with you. I know that kind of gives a little bit, we kind of give you a little teaser. In the next Lunch and Learn, though, we'll talk about really how we put the program together, what we did. I mean, and I did see where somebody said you need gloves. I'm going to tell you, we all, Paul, you can kind of speak it. It is hard to write with your gloves on. We just washed our hands. we washed our hands. So, anyway, if I think we probably have questions. Kima, do you want to give us some of the questions that anybody has, or if you have questions, we're happy to answer.
Jennifer Fagan's asking that, is the program mandatory or a subscription for those of us who don't know? Also, is the trash limited to one cart to encourage recycling, and how long has recycling been in place? So I can answer most of those questions. Obviously, Crystal, feel free to fill in the blanks.
Okay.
Midwest City has done curbside recycling. This is actually the 10th year. So we've actually had a curbside single stream curbside recycling program in place for 10 years. We did not have a curbside single stream program before that. We didn't even have curbside before that. What we had before that were a couple of roll-offs in a yard, a convenience center. We called it a recycling convenience center. And I kind of chuckle about that because there's nothing convenient about having to bring your recycling to an address that isn't your own at the street. So we had convinced, we had a lot of support from our residents. And then we went to the council, and the council, we proposed a rate increase that essentially included a cost for every customer to participate. It was 100%, it's mandatory. All customers get the same charge. It's a part of our solid waste fee. We did not break it out as a separate cost, as it isn't an option. Every single customer participates in the cost associated with the program. So that's important. That's something we could obviously talk about in lessons learned, but we talked to some other communities that had it broken out. And when you have that cost separate from the rest of those costs that are tied to your solid waste, I think it sends a signal that maybe it's an option. The other thing that's important for us is we feel like it's a bookend to our solid waste program. Let's face it, if you didn't recycle it, where would it end up? Well, it's going to end up in your poly cart, in your trash. So the goal for us was, how do we get as much of that? How do we get the good stuff out of the trash and into the recycling can? So that's how that started. It's not a subscription service necessarily, and it is mandatory. And as far as the recycling part of this goes, Crystal and Republic Services have been our partner for the last 10 years. Both contracts we've had have been with Republic Services. And this program, the Super Recycler program specifically, which is about recognition, it's about helping the community understand how valuable their effort is, and they're recognizing those folks that are doing it the right way, and not necessarily being mean or rude to the folks that don't. Educate them, help them understand, hey, guess what? You're close. You didn't quite get it. It just needs a little more effort on your part. And a lot of times, let's face it, the mistakes people make, and Crystal and I've talked about this a lot, it's not because they're intentionally trying to cause a problem. It's because they just don't know any better. And guess what? You can put all the education out there you want. You can put it on TV. You can do social media posts. You can put it on the cart, on the door of the house. Trust me, you'll never get everyone. Somebody's going to miss the message. And so this gives us a chance to not only incentivize the making the good decisions out when it comes to those customers and the public using that cart, but it also helped us have some one-on-one conversations and some phone conversations. So our public works staff, our office staff, were very busy doing their job afterwards, because all those folks,
100%.
they didn't necessarily, guess what, if you didn't know, we gave them a phone number and a real person, and I want to point out, not a recording, a real person to talk to, because that's so. I think I answered the question. I'll be quiet now.
Yes. And hey, Paul, I do want to say that in the next video, you'll see the whole process behind how they educated the customers that called in. I mean, the city of Midwest City did a great job. You'll see all of that behind the scenes. But I do want to bring up one other thing that I think is really essential, Paul, and that is the plan that you have in place at the city, 3 strikes and you're out. If you don't mind just speaking to that really quick, I think she's got it up and ready to go, but I think this is important for everybody involved that's going to be on here. If you'll just tell what Jerry had put in place and you guys that got passed through the council.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you suffer with, for anybody that's a part of recycling or has recycling in their community, especially single stream at the curb, one of the challenges you have is making sure that you have good recyclables in the can. Ultimately, the cost associated with separating those materials at the MRF, the materials recovery facility, are tied to the amount of trash or things that aren't recyclable. So one of the challenges we had is how do you help a customer? How do you empower a customer, but at the same time help city staff? Because the reality is, every time Republic goes out, if there's trash in it, it'll cost us money, more money in the long term, and everybody suffers. We wanted to try to find a way to help that. Jerry asked if we could employ get something in place that would help us be able to enforce it. So we created a rule that, and it is actually Brittany who is in our office along with Jerry, and that is that if you will educate, first time you throw trash in your cart, we go dump it, no cost, we educate the customer. Second time, we charge the customer for the material that's in the cart that's being dumped as trash, and we educate, again, try to educate the customer. If it happens a third time, we remove the cart. Doesn't change what they pay per month, but that takes that person that is putting trash, because at that point it's intentional. It's not an accident, it's not a lack of education, it's intentional. And it's important for our community and obviously our partner to make sure that that stream is as clean as possible.
Yeah, thank you so much, because it is key to make sure the program moves forward. So I so appreciate that.
I did see that Mike Harlan asked a question about how we document. So Crystal was kind enough to kind of bring up, we deployed a new policy about how many times you're allowed to throw trash in a recycling bin. It's a 3 strikes rule. So we use education, and obviously education first time, we don't cost them any money. We pick up the can, we dump it as trash. The second time, we actually charge them our typical cost for a second. If we have to go back out for a second trip, we charge them that rate for the second dump. And then the third time, we just remove the can, and we document at every step of the process. We take pictures and document that because that's part of what we promised to do to the city council persons. This policy was agreed upon by our council. We have a group of folks that participate in the ordinance review committee from council. Then we took it to the city council and made sure that everybody had their fingerprints on it before we deployed it. But it's worked well for us. And surprisingly, most people never get to the 3rd strike. Usually it's just about educating the folks that are a part of that process. And then I think someone else asked the question related to who does the audit for the recycling contingency. Yeah. I will tell you that the hard part, so here's what this will come up when we talk about the next video, things that you'd like to do differently or things we've learned. We would love to have a full-time staff person being able to audit cans. The programs, for instance, Stillwater has a recycling program, curbside program. They have a full-time auditor. If we had the ability to put a full-time auditor out there, we would, because ultimately it pays dividends. If you can keep your recycling stream clean, it costs you less money in the long term. Unfortunately, we don't have the staffing for it. We can't fill all of our vacant positions. So the audit that you saw in this video is actually the cooperative effort. It's again a seed that was planted between Crystal and I quite a while ago. Said, you know what, if there's ever a chance, let's try to do that in Midwest City. And then maybe next time we won't just do it in 5 weeks. We'll try to give a little more time to do it. Carrie, I'm sure would appreciate that. If no other person does, Carrie Evenson would. But what I would say is this process of doing an audit or recognizing your super recyclers is something we had not done before, and we'd like to do annually. Now that we see how effective it was and the outreach from the public, you can't imagine. We had, I don't remember the total number. We asked our super recyclers to come to council, because our council persons had actually been out in their wards and worked on a shift for each one of them to look and audit each of these cans. Well, when we sent out those gift cards and recognized the folks for doing a good job, they were excited. They came to council and actually talked about it. And the good news is that kind of helped. If you want positive feedback, let's face it, everybody suffers. There's a lot of negativity out there. That gave us a chance to really put a stamp of approval from our council, having our super recyclers show up at council to kind of talk about their experience, and they were appreciative. Would we like to do a full-time audit, like every day, have somebody out there auditing cans? Yes. Our goal, our expectation is with recycling partners like Republic Services and that relationship that we have, that as we do this every year, we're going to target different areas so that we won't be able to cover the entire city, obviously, but over a number of years, we'll get most of the city covered through this process.
Absolutely. And one other thing I'd like to add is the city has been it is great because they're invested in making this a long-term sustainable initiative in the city. Also, when our drivers, we actually communicate with the city as well. Our drivers will tag carts that are contaminated and let the city know. They have an awesome city staff that educate their customers. You'll see that in the next video and how they do that. But they know the ins and outs of recycling. And so we'll tag those carts, we'll put on there what's wrong, and we always communicate with Paul's staff. Of course, we can't get all of them, but we do get a lot of them.
Okay. So there is another question that says, did the contamination rate decrease after you started the Super Recycler program?
So we have not done an audit yet. We will see in this next year, but we're pretty sure that we're going to see, because just the education and the feedback that we got, I will tell you, this was a wonderful thing in Midwest City. And I'm not just saying this, and I know a lot of my counterparts are on here. I saw Jennifer and Susan, and the thing about it is it's great to do with the city because you get so many different points of synergy and communication. But I'm going to tell you, Paul and I were talking about this, the city manager, Tim Lyon, I mean, some of them became super recyclers, but it was kind of a pride thing with them. Like, I want to be a super recycler. I mean, so it was just the energy that everybody came together pushing this program, but we're sure that we're going to see improvements in the next audit.
Awesome. So another question I have here, do you have an estimate how much recycling saves money for the city or reduces the demand for landfills?
So that's a great question. Don't let me forget, it looked like Megan Waters also asked a question further up the chain of questions that we'll get to afterwards. But what I would say is it's really difficult. And I think Crystal could probably speak to this too. Here's the challenge. Recyclables are pretty light. And especially today with the way that Amazon and the rest of those companies have tried to lighten their packing materials, a lot of what you can recycle doesn't weigh much. And as you all know, when it comes to trash, you pay by the ton. So you'd like to say, oh, there's a direct correlation. There's a 20% increase there's a 20% decrease in our total tons to the landfill. What we discovered, and obviously here's what I can tell you, is having been in the business for a long time and you track it, we don't ever take the exact same amount of trash to the landfill every year. Because if you have wet years or dry years, your yard waste that ends up in your recycling can, ice storms, all these things can affect what your trash looks like when it goes to the landfill. What I can tell you is this: we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we have yards and yards, cubic yards and yards of material that are being diverted out of our trash, out of our waste stream, and being taken to the MRF. That is to me, I know that you'd like to say, oh, there's there's a win there because of money. We're saving some money. The win is you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing not only for your customers, but for your organization, for the state, and for the environment. It's a decision you need to be, if you're going to get in the business to look for an ROI, that probably isn't necessarily the right direction. You need to understand you're making this decision because your customers want it and it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
And then Megan Waters, and Crystal, I'll let you speak to that and then we can address Megan's question. Go ahead.
Right. Paul, you're exactly right. But it is, I mean, I think I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say at least 1 million pounds a year is diverted from the landfill. And this is the thing, Oklahoma is really unusual that we have 3 landfills, right? What are we going to do? Where are you going to put 3 more landfills in Oklahoma City? I mean, everything that we can divert from the landfill is, I mean, when you can have a container, an aluminum can back out on the shelves in 30 days that can be, redone, repurposed, or repurposed into something else, that's amazing. And that's what we need to do. We're just a consumable society. So, I mean, everything we can do to reuse, reduce, and repurpose stuff and recycle is what we need to be doing.
And Crystal's right. You can take the total cubic, how many pounds of material that you recycle, and there's you could say, hey, if we had to send that to the landfill, this would have cost us X number of dollars. I guess the point is, and you can do that. There is money. You won't. I can promise you that it's unlikely you're going to be able to save enough money to cover the cost of the whole program. I think that's one of those things people assume, oh, well, you're making money on the commodities, and so therefore you should get checks back that help subsidize the program. Unfortunately, the commodity market is pretty volatile, and that really gets into the weeds. I just want to make sure everybody understands, yes, you could say, yes, we've diverted this many pounds of material away from the landfill, but I think it's a little bit of a disservice to say, well, that's how much money we've saved. That's not the only reason that you recycle. So.
Right. I do. And I will speak to one thing about that, though. When you'll see the reduce of people having second trash carts out there, though, because they do have a recycle cart now. So the people that you were seeing have 2 trash carts can really do it with 1 trash cart and 1 recycle cart. It makes a big difference when it comes to that. So I have several cities, and it varies from city to city. I think I have 29 cities, but it varies from city to city. But you'll see a lot of reduction in some cities where I don't have recycling. It's almost double that people have 2 or more carts. But in my cities where there's recycling and trash, you do not see a lot of that. And that is one good thing. And I do want to speak to something that we do. Somebody said what education that we do. We send out education all the time. Paul sends out education all the time. We do Republic Reads. Before the pandemic came, Paul can tell you, like, Republic goes into schools. We read recycling to kids. We teach kids. We have recycling programs to get the bags out of recycling, because that's a huge thing, is the plastic bags and how they get caught up. One thing that we have done consistently, and I will say that Republic has done, is go out there and educate. Republic Reads, contests with the kids. We go to every kind of, Paul and I, somebody said have gloves on. If you would have seen Paul a couple of years ago at St. Philip Neri digging through the recycling, we go out and we really try to educate in the communities to make sure that they're recycling right. And there's no better way than to let the kids know, let me tell you.
Yep.
Right. And now back to Megan's question, back to the top. It says, how else do you tell people what you can recycle and how to pack your cans?
So obviously Republic has some built-in collateral. Whenever you are contracted with Republic, they provide, and that's part of the contract, but they provided some initial information about what you can or can't recycle, which is important. And that went to every single customer. But we also send out, so we put it on our website, we do social media blasts, we offer to do face-to-face visits like Crystal was talking about. Anytime you can get in front of somebody, I promise you get their trash, you have them bring their trash cans. And then if you're a brave soul, don't do it during cold and flu season. I'm just telling you, I learned the hard way. You'll be picking out a lot of Kleenexes. But what I can tell you is that if you have people bring their trash cans, if you go someplace, say, hey, bring me your trash cans, you will always find something that's recyclable in that trash can. People just they don't necessarily get in that mindset where, oh, hey, the first thing that you think about is, okay, can I recycle this versus throwing it away? So what I would say is, Megan, we do a lot of things, both face-to-face visits, social media blasts, website. We have static content on our website, and we also try to add content as we've had to, because obviously the rules have changed, the rules of engagement for those that used to be in recycling single stream 5-6 years ago, before the mess in China, we could recycle everything, glass, bags, where you didn't really want bags, but people put them in. It wasn't illegal, or you wasn't outlawed per se. Now you can't put any of those things in there. You are limited to what you can actually recycle: ones, twos, cardboard, aluminum, and steel. And so the thing is, when you have to change like that, you can't leave static material on a fridge somewhere. You've got to find a way to reach out to the public and ask them next time you get a call, hey, how did you find us? Or, what questions do you have? And thankfully, we've got some wonderful people that work in our office that don't mind asking the question. They do a lot of the education.
Absolutely. And then we also do update that information every year, and then Paul mails it out. We do a calendar for the city, and what is I really like what we came out. People are picture and visual, so we came out with a new visual thing for them, but we are always educating. Paul is exactly right.
Sounds good. Awesome. So there is another question. Do you have educational materials for types of plastic bottles 1 and 2, right, that are acceptable to place into your recycling carts?
Yes.
Yes.
And a lot of times, and here's what I want everybody to understand. We probably didn't talk about this to begin with, but we are talking about Midwest City specifically, the curbside single stream recycling that's in Midwest City. For those that are on the call that aren't in Midwest City, that live in another city or another town, if you have curbside recycling, the rules may be a little bit different. Sometimes that's dictated specifically by the materials recovery facility, or by contract, or by what you think you can manage, depending upon how you're picking it up. So understand that is not something that it's not like a one size fits all. Please don't take what we're saying as, okay, well, you can't do, I was told you couldn't do that, or you can do that. Just realize it's different in every community.
Okay. So someone have a question that they want to ask live, so please feel free to ask.
This is, my name is Mark from Moore, and
hey, Mark.
Mike, just a couple of quick questions. One would be the concern that I have, as this is probably going to go to a vote of our citizens soon, and our city is somewhat divided on this issue. So if it goes and it passes, and then our citizens aren't doing very well, and we're having audits, or they see people walking around the neighborhood looking through the recycle cans and yellow vests, we're going to get calls and we're going to get complaints about that. And then ultimately, Republic could be charged more because of the audits that are happening at the recycling center, which are going to be passed on to our citizens, which in turn means that I may not get to be a city council person very long, or a city manager may not get to be a city manager very long if the rates go up and that the people just aren't participating in the program like we hope that they would. And so I appreciate the recycling or the education efforts that Republic Services would do and that the city would do. But ultimately, what I understand, if the city is just not doing a very good job, those costs will be passed on to the city. And that's, I guess, how could you answer that? And then the second question would be, from what I understand, it's the 1s and 2s that are recyclable. And is there any kind of an effort on a national level to get the producers of these plastics to produce more 1s and 2s? I mean, I think that's where we could really make a difference in our environment and in our landfills, is by making stuff, technically it's all recyclable, but yet everybody wants to make some money. Nobody's doing this just because love the environment. They love the environment, but there has to be a profit. There has to be a reason for them to do this. Even if the profits are small, they've got to make money. And how can we get at a bigger level to the producers of recyclables to produce things that are more recyclable?
Hey, I think that's the $1 million question, Mark. I mean, we would love that. I see Paul shaking his head. I see Megan shaking her head. So that's really just, I mean, I was just in Breckenridge on vacation. You cannot get a plastic bag in Breckenridge. You have to bring your own bags, or you have to buy a paper bag. You cannot get a plastic bag in Breckenridge. But one thing I do want to speak to is, and this is why it was so great partnering with the city of Midwest City. I mean, we don't ever just go out and start auditing people's carts. I mean, this was a program that we put together. I cannot tell you, the chamber, the city, like, we advertised this program really big. And everybody, and I will tell you, we had people, and Paul can tell you, we had people chasing us down the road saying, please go look at my cart. I'm a super recycler. We did not have any negative. It was not the city was involved with this. They have the most wonderful council in the city of Midwest City that came out and walked their streets with us. It's important that they knew what was going on in their communities. So they were out with us walking. The city of Midwest City, I was just telling Paul, we were just at the chamber banquet, and I mean, our super recycler program was one thing that was mentioned in the banquet because it was so successful. The city was behind it 100%. It was a pride. I tell Paul it was a pride community event, and it was wonderful to see what the city could do. But Republic Services would never go out and just start auditing without the city. And, you know, anytime you can get out there and educate your residents, that's what you want to do. I mean, that's a huge thing. I can tell you that it was a positive event. People came and said, okay, you're going to do this next year, right? Because I want to try again. I mean, it was a great community effort. So I didn't see anything negative about it. I will tell you that we do this in so many cities that, Paul, I think you're up to 88% participation now. We just did the city of Edmond at 93% participation. Norman's at 92% participation. So when we say that it doesn't work in cities, I don't see that. People want to recycle. When you look nationwide, people want to recycle and they want that opportunity to recycle. So I haven't seen a city that it has failed in yet.
Okay. I do want to say, so Mark, and you said it was Mark, right? You're a council person in the city of Moore.
Yes.
So here's what I'll tell you. Yes, there are, obviously, you're going to have some people that will ask questions that are going to be concerned. But if you treat every customer like, you know, somebody like they want to be treated, say, hey, well, okay, what is it you want to know? You know, answer those questions. Most of them, once you get a chance to talk through it and dispel some of the rumors and obviously the stuff that people don't necessarily understand about recycling, most of them are like, oh, well, heck yeah, sign me up. The challenge I think that anybody has is it's not free. You know, somebody's going to have to pay for it. And obviously you're passing that cost off to the customer. But as Crystal points out, you know, if those customers, if you explain to them what they're getting, it's a pretty, in my opinion, it's a bargain to be able to go out and touch every customer once every couple of weeks to pick up the recycling. We have folks now in our city that wish that they could get their recycling picked up weekly, and they go to every other week for their trash. And that's because they have used the program to the fullest. You know, they're finding a way to maximize it. As far as your question about, and so you're going to have naysayers. The point of that is you're always going to have somebody that's a challenge. And you know what? I can tell you that once you finally get an opportunity to talk to these folks and talk through those questions or concerns, most of them are pretty excited about being a part of it. The good news is you've got some expertise on staff. I think Mike Harlan was on the call just a little while ago. I'll tell you, he's a wealth of information. He absolutely has information. He knows how to get a hold of me if you need anything from, hey, well, what's this been like for the city? Obviously, we don't mind helping provide that information in partnership. As far as getting people on the national level, I want to point out that 3s, 4s, 5s are all recyclable. The problem is it's not as valuable as the 1s and 2s. And so each MRF, each contract is set up a little differently. When commodity values are higher, they can mix in some of those 3s, 4s, and 5s, and it's not going to break the bank, but it's not ideal. The highest value is going to be if you have really clean 1s and really clean 2s. Even number 6, for instance, polystyrene, which gets a bad rap, that's recyclable. The problem is there's nobody close that can take that number 6 and turn it into another product. There's not a good, in other words, there's not a good end user, that a customer that we can send it to. But all that stuff is nationally, you have seen, I'll just tell you from my own perspective, over the last 10 years, we've seen a pretty big transition. You've got a lot of packing materials now that are cardboard or paper that used to be plastic or film. You've also got a lot of places that have moved or transitioned away from things that aren't recyclable. It is a little bit of a challenge, but the good news is the vast majority, if you go look at what somebody buys, if you go, for instance, you go home and check your fridge, almost everything in your fridge is going to be if it's plastic, it'll be a 1 or a 2. Sometimes, and back in the day, like 10 years ago, there were a lot of things that used to be 7s, used to be 5s, used to be other materials. So there is a transition nationwide to try to move to materials that have higher value and are better for the environment.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think Kima, we're coming probably to time to wrap it up.
yeah.
Guys,
So
I do want to take a minute again to thank everybody for coming. Thank you for bearing with
Crystal,
us.
there's one question.
Oh,
I have to cut you off. Sorry. It says, how do you award the gift card?
So, well, you know what? That is a great question. And if you tune in for the next Lunch and Learn, you'll find out. The next Lunch and Learn will be March 1st. So please tune in so we can see that. I just want to thank everybody. Paul, thank you. Kima, thank you for pitching in. Ellen, she did a great job. In the next one, you'll see how we set everything up, how we sent the gift cards, how everything, like I know today was a little more about us walking the streets. The next time is how we put all this into place. Like, again, we're going to say I could not do this without the fantastic partnership with Midwest City and their great leadership. So we want to thank everybody for coming. Again, thank you, Chickasaw Nation, for filming this for us. And we hope that you will sign up for the next Lunch and Learn to find out about the backside of it.
And I will point out, just in case you all have questions, I want to echo, thank you, Crystal. The Public Services has been a fantastic partner. We're grateful to have you. And thank you for OKRA for helping make this happen.
Yes.
Obviously, we're grateful for them. But I want to point out, I did leave my contact information in the chat. I'll talk to Ellen. We'll try to make sure that contact information for both Republic Services, specifically Crystal and or myself at Midwest City, we'll try to make sure that information is available, that we'll push it out in various places, so that if you do have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. It isn't rocket science, but it does require dedication. It does require people being intentional. And we obviously want to preach the gospel of recycling. So feel free to ask any questions. We're glad to help.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you, Kima. Thank you, Kima,
Bye.
for getting the show back on the road.
Thank you, Paul. Bye.